Johnny Fisher returns to action on September 28th. He'll be headlining at the Copper Box Arena against Andriy Rudenko. Fisher is currently 12-0, 11 KOs, 25 years of age, and Rudenko is 36-7, 22 KO wins, and 2 of his losses were by KO, 40 years of age. Now, Rudenko has never beaten anyone of note. He's fought quite a few notable fighters, but never beaten any of them. He's been firmly in the category of journeyman for several years now. What I will say is, although he's very limited offensively and defensively too, he used to be quite tough. He could take a beating, and therefore he could give you rounds. So for example, he took Zheli Zhang the distance over 10 back in 2019. He took Ajit Kabayel 12 rounds the same year. He took Alexander Povetkin 12 rounds back in 2017. He took Hughie Fury 10 rounds back in 2015. He went the 12-round distance with Lucas Brown in 2014, etc., etc. But more recently, that durability has started to fail him. He was stopped by Vladislav Rudenko in 6 rounds back in 2021, and most recently he was stopped in 5 rounds in 2023 by Jared Anderson. And if you watch that Anderson fight, Rudenko barely threw anything. Again, he was literally just a heavy bag in there. Be that as it may, I actually see this as a step up from Alen Babic. No disrespect to Babic, he's been a very entertaining character over the past couple years, but his punch resistance is completely shot. And although Rudenko's punch resistance might not be as good as it used to be, I suspect it's still quite a lot better than Babic's. As I say, he's fought better fighters than Babic has, and physically he's a lot bigger as well. Rudenko is 6'3.5". He's weighed in the 240s for most of his career, but for his last fight, he was in the 260s. And that was a fight against a complete journeyman. I mean, a journeyman of a much lower level than himself, who he managed to stop in the first round. Anyway, the point I want to make here is that as much as people might scoff at Rudenko as an opponent for Johnny Fisher, particularly in a fight that's headlining at the Copper Box, it's a step up. And the fact that this is a step up, not a very big step up, but a step up nonetheless, to me is indicative of the amount of confidence that Eddie Hearn has in Johnny Fisher's ability currently. In other words, not a lot of confidence, right? Because you look at the way Queensbury are moving Moses Atauma, compare it to the way Eddie Hearn's moving Johnny Fisher, it's night and day. Fisher is being moved far more carefully, and rightly so. Fisher doesn't have the amateur experience Atauma has. He's not as developed technically. In any event, I would expect Johnny Fisher to win this fight against Rudenko. Rudenko offers very little from what I've seen of late as far as offense. Doesn't throw a lot of punches, and the shots he does throw are pretty slow. He's always been easy to hit, so it should be a nice little workout for Johnny Fisher. Club this guy around for a bit and see if he can be the third man to stop him. Again, he was stopped in 6 rounds back in 2021 by Vladislav Rudenko, and in 5 rounds last year by Jared Anderson. If Fisher puts his punches together, even if Johnny Fisher doesn't manage to drop Rudenko, as low volume as Rudenko tends to be, if Fisher just puts a big combination together, it should be enough to provoke a matchroom stoppage. You know, like the one that we saw in the Conor Ben Samuel Vargas fight, something like that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments.